Hello and welcome, and today we're doing, once again, a bit of free drawing. There we go. Alright. So yeah, I don't know, I had kind of, just as I was starting just as I was clicking the record button for the stream, a kind of idea did pop into mind. I want to do... Actually, let me just make this canvas bigger first. Right, hopefully it doesn't break this time. What do we need to do? Okay. Yeah, we want... I'd like to do something like 2000 by 3000 maybe. If I make the width 3000, why does the height then get times by like 7 or something? I don't know. Yeah, it's be like 2000. Although I don't know, maybe I should keep it. I don't know. It's good enough. Nice big canvas. Right. So yes, I'm gonna grab the center canvas. Begin to think about the machine that we are going to be painting today. There you go. I like to have a bit of a thicker brush. So yeah, we're going to be painting space computer-y machine again. Who could have guessed? Something of a mainstay for us. Just double check everything's gone live. Yeah, there you go. It all looks good, as far as I can tell. Alright. So yeah, I've got this idea in my head of kind of like... I'm just doing kind of a random shape here. I really don't know what it's just kind of you know... I'm not sure what the actual shape of the thing's going to be, but the idea that I do have that is kind of solid is I want there to be some kind of like glass domes in that shape. Does that make sense? They look kind of like lenses that you'd look through. I might make them a bit shallower and then put some smaller lenses, or like whatever they are, whatever these glass lenses are, and maybe some different shaped ones above. Yeah, give it more of that shape. It's like some kind of power transformer looking thing at the moment. It'll be kind of more like liquids. Maybe we should add some pipes just to aid in that effect. Should we wrap the pipes around like... Very mathematically, I wonder. It's kind of like cooling tubes, isn't it? It's very alien-y. It's a bit like cow's udders. There's something about the symmetry of it that I'm not liking though. It's not looking usable. Maybe I can try shorten these ones at the back. Shouldn't be as, you know, pronounced and exaggerated as the ones at the front. Let's make this thing a little deeper on its footing, just so I can expand it backwards a little bit more. Actually looks pretty cool. Maybe some sort of shape like that. I guess we're just doing one painting in this, didn't mean to do that. Probably just do this one painting in this art jam because it's going to be very detailed. It's quite large as it is. I think that's quite a lot of pixels, yeah. They should do us, I think. Do us for the session. Okay. You know, I kind of, I was thinking before I did the this stream, doing some kind of like head in a dome type thing. I think that could look awesome. Some kind of like hologram where you speak to people on it or something, you know? Maybe you put a hand on each of these things and then it somehow, using that, can tell like what your facial expression is and replicate it on the other machine or something like that. A little bucket to drop change down to start the call or whatever. We're doing this one a little bit earlier today, so I don't know if we're going to get as many many artists joining us. We'll see, we'll see. I think maybe the afternoon art jams are probably where it's more at. Do we need this line here still? Can it look cool? I think so. I like the idea that it kind of does that shape. Maybe even that shape. These contour lines are such a satisfying way to design things sometimes. There's that sort of line too, isn't there? It's when you're properly designing a 3D modeler. Thinking about the quads, I think they talk about. Sorry, I just have to go. 1 second still. Yeah, just have to get close the window. Okay, yeah, this is gonna look awesome. It looks a little bit like one of those genie things where you know, there's like a mechanical fortune teller. It looks a bit like a modern, well, a future day fortune teller machine. Maybe it's some kind of, I've been listening a little bit to Orwell yesterday. Maybe it's some kind of like Big Brother type character in the machine, I'm not sure. Yeah, I was thinking of these being, you know, like filled with some kind of dark green fluid, like glass vials. I'm not sure. Let's make it a bearded man. Like that. Give me a bigger beard, I think, even. Am I planning on his shoulder? I don't know, is he going to be a floating head? Yeah, it should be a floating head. Just a head floating in the fluid. Okay, then let's flesh this out. I can't wait to see what it looks like. Yeah, we're gonna go with a lot of kind of emerald greens here. I'm gonna go straight in with the most important part of the subject. This portrait right here. And speed painting is super fun. And hopefully this will kind of show why, but it's sort of like, it's a bit like oil painting. And I guess, I don't know, a little bit maybe like coloured pencil drawing. I don't know. You can just it's just so satisfying, you know. So like I say, we're kind of treating this a little bit like oil painting to start with, and by that I mean I'm kind of picking colours and just laying them in a tiling type manner in the places where I feel like they belong. You see, I'm picking dark colours and putting them in the darker areas and such. You see, this is all pretty much going to be green in this in this pod that we've got here. We've got to kind of manage the contrast as well, because it's in a liquid. It's going to, you know, the thickness. We've got to think about how thick. Shall we give him shoulders? I don't know. Should we give him shoulders like that? I'm torn. I'd like to just kind of fade off mysteriously at the bottom, to be honest. We do that maybe. Okay. So you see, we've just kind of gone for sort of darker in the middle and then a Fresnel effect, which means we've made the outside more reflective, which means it's brighter basically. And that's kind of a soft fade, you know, towards the outside. It's getting a little bit brighter. And that's all we've really done so far, is that Fresnel effect. And we've also tried to think about the depth of the fluid, so right behind him here is like the thickest, is where we're looking through the most fluid, and so the most light is being absorbed by the fluid. But you know what, we're kind of messing it up, because we should do it also more much more saturated as well, because you're thinking the light's going through the fluid, some of the light is getting absorbed by the fluid, and it's going to be more light if it's thicker, of course. And also, because it's going through a thicker, you know, amount of the green fluid, it's going to pick up more of a taint of that green. So, like I say, it's going to get more saturated, very, very much more saturated. And this is the reason for, you know, subsurface scattering. The way, you know, like when there's a different coloured layer, like skin on top, you'll see the red show through and stuff like that. Okay, I'm gonna do some metallic elements. And I don't mean the mind kind. I mean, there we go. Like space steels. And as I've explained before, we just use two values mainly. And we do these chrome metallic type materials. Oh, my brush just shrunk. I don't know why my brush just shrunk like that. I think I accidentally pressed down the key. Yeah, there you go. Well, really, we should see it just like that. I don't know. We'll see. See if that works. works out in the long run. Okay then. Then there'd be two. Oh, I'm still on the rubber? Or on the eraser, sorry. Two kind of smaller domes here. You can put your hands on and he'll give you some kind of psychic reading or something similar to that maybe. Got one extra person joined now, although they haven't painted much yet. This person's continued their dragon, which is looking pretty good now. Okay. And so yeah, it's going to be pretty much the same. I don't know, I want it to be a little bit darker in them for some reason. I just feel like that would work stylistically, especially because they're a bit closer to the camera. It works to put darker stuff closer to the camera and light stuff further away, typically. You see how powerful this Fresnel effect is in like a little cheat that just gives you the easiest way to render it. You just know you're doing it a bit brighter, a bit less saturated on the outsides. Okay, I'm going to start to get in the hint of reflections, maybe just a few random ones. I don't know if I'm going to do any kind of signature shape. Probably should some kind of donut, because you know we don't do enough of them. Okay. Alright, so I want this to be metallic because I want it to look kind of like you drop coins in there, so let's do that first, because I'm just trying to think right now what materials to make this stuff, what combination of materials, so I'm going to figure that out. Now. So I'm just doing the brightness, this extra bright value that I often do, although it's a bit more blue. I think I did go too yellow with this one, honestly, although it has got a green dome like right next to it, so maybe it should be. But yeah, I'm just sort of thinking what surfaces are facing up. We're basically painting them with that almost white value. Now we're going to go for kind of a darker, murkier blue. And pretty much most of it is going to be in this blue. But I've got an idea for an interesting shape for this, where it's kind of partly stamped to the machine with a flat piece. And then it's sort of like the, you know, I'll explain it visually in just a moment, hopefully, if I can pull it off. I think we should have a dark spot towards the camera, which I do sometimes with, well, a lot of the time with my reflective stuff, but it helps to exaggerate the Fresnel effect as well. You just do whatever, you see how this part of that dish is facing the camera the most, gets a dark spot, that's all it is, it's just material ball logic, but you can make things look very reflective a lot of the time. Especially because it plays, I think, on the Fresnel effect a lot more. I think this should be more of a thin, sharp highlight here with just a few things maybe. This one gets to be smoother. Woohoo! Isn't that looking like metal, you see? Just two values. That's what makes things look like metal. Just two really high contrast values like that. It doesn't really look like it's been stamped out yet though. Something more like that maybe. Okay then, so we've kind of got. I don't know if I want to change the metal a little bit. It looks very neon-y. Might make it a bit more. I might make it a bit brighter generally. Let's see how that works. I don't know if I did that in the right way. I want it to be a bit warmer too. Yeah, let's give it just a glaze of a bit brighter and a bit warmer. Yeah, you see, I think that fits. We'll make it a bit darker again later, but I think that fits the glass, the values up here a little bit more now. Although it was like the highest contrast item in the whole thing by far before I did that, which shows we still haven't gone to full value, but we want to, you know, keep that consistent across the canvas as much as we can, really. Okay then. Yeah, this is like the health doctor or something. I like these to have that same kind of stamped design on them, but I don't feel like there's much space for it. Should I champ for the edges of that, like that? I wonder. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, they can probably get away with just a little bit of that, like just a little bit more thickness down here would show that. Something like that. There you go. And we'll put a bit of a highlight on some parts of them. Still on the dark spot towards the camera. This one can get some Fresnel effect towards the outside there. Get some of the reflection. I need a second material to start bridging some of these metallic elements that isn't metal, of course. Could we do wood? Maybe. Could we get away with that? I haven't done that in a little while. I don't know. Do brass? Maybe. Something red would make sense because that's complementary of the green. Or maybe we should make it metallic. Oh, so many choices to make. Someone's drawing what's it called, the Vitruvian Man or something? Can't remember what it's called. Let's just see what values work. I'm thinking metal, but maybe metal of a different texture. Trying to keep it simple. But I don't want it to be so simple that it's boring, of course. And also, I think this really is going to be... should be something like that, shouldn't it? Should it? Just thinking of the path for this little pipe. It's on the outside of it. It'll be something like that, I think. Yeah, so how do we get metal to look like just a different sort of metal? Well, this stuff's kind of more mirrory polished, so I could go with something that's just a little bit more of a satin finish, I suppose. Or I could stamp some kind of texture into it even. Can work as well. Yeah. I do still want a second material. Maybe I'll do like a darker material, like a black material. Something like that. Someone's started writing near our painting. Do the smiley face smaller and it can stay, I suppose. Yeah, I've noticed that's kind of just something people naturally do on here, I think. Sort of the writing on the canvas, pointing at each other's paintings. Just thinking about this duct a little bit more now. Something kind of like that. Just thinking, how's it gonna like tap in, you know? I wanted to do kind of like a thing jutting out of the glass dome, kind of like that. That's the idea that I had, and I think that could still work. Just need to get the base right that it's sort of plugging into. Like that. You know what we can do with these to make them look extra translucent as well, and probably with all of it, it's just a super saturated, kind of like the light behind it piercing through. Probably work best on this outer ring, these ones. Probably more where it's yeah, I think that's kind of where it belongs, that ultra saturated green right in that band. Yeah, I think that looks good too, so I'm going to stick with that. Add some perceived complexity. Probably just stay dark on that side, shouldn't it? Okay, then we're going to put some reflections on the edge of this so you can kind of tell it apart. The blurriness of these reflections is kind of a function of what kind of wide the radius is, if that makes sense. It's something that as soon as you understand becomes quite useful in rendering. I'm kind of wanting this to look like one piece, but the tube is on top of it. I don't know how that's going to play out in the long run. I'm sort of just doing this organically and seeing what comes of it. Just putting some highlights crudely onto there so I can kind of think about it a bit easier. Just get some darks in there too. All you have to do is kind of get the right values in vaguely the right place at the start, and then you start shifting them around and moving it and stuff like that. Okay, this is working well, and to be fair, the one material kind of makes sense, as this looks like something that would kind of be out in public, and I think installments like that are out in public are usually just going to have like, you know, like an anti-vandalism thing to have it be made completely out of metal, like vending machines or what have you. Same kind of logic. Or like, what is it, parking meters, just a big metal box, isn't it? So this is kind of the same, but obviously it's got a bit more of an interesting shape than a parking meter. Maybe it is a parking meter, I don't know. Okay then. This yeah, this is super satisfying doing this these metallic materials are just and, you know, I really wanted to do something maybe we will do two paintings today, I don't know. But I've been itching to paint something that is mirror finish lately. And just sort of like imagine the room and, you know, in all its detail. I think that could be a really fun challenge. Painting something completely mirror reflective but that has no room around it, so we'll kind of be inventing the room as we go. I feel like that should all get to be a little bit brighter. I feel like there should be some panel lines. I'm liking these weren't panel lines originally that were actually meant to be here, but now I'm starting to kind of consider them. Something like that. Man, this is the worst thing. This is my worst weakness, is doing that, getting these long straight lines in just the right. Oh, that's wrong, in just the right angle. We're just doing a light line and then a dark line slightly above it. That's the whole method that we're using right now. It's just a basic embossment, pretty much. As basic as it gets, really. Yeah, so this outside one's got a bit more of a texture to it. At least it's got a bit more of its own personality now. Smooth some of this out. The way to get really smooth materials to look really nice is a really good blurry quality, but it's just hard to get it in this software sadly. Maybe we'll try some Critter chrome materials, because we've got a really good blend brush there. Have to do at some point. Maybe we'll compare the two. Critter versus Magma for reflective materials. This obviously needs Fresnel effect, so we're going to whack that on now. Maybe not as much of it, because it's supposed to be kind of at the back of the machine. I should see something like that, where we just barely see the other side version of that. Something like that. All right. Should we add a speaker grill maybe? Yeah. Looks awesome. Excuse me. These two are a bit lopsided. I noticed this one's taller than that one. Which one do we go with? That's the question. And it often is when it's a question, when you've got a symmetrical subject like this. You always end up weighing up, you know. Do I prefer the left one or the right one? And then you either make the right one look a bit more like the left one or vice versa. So we've made the left one look like the right one in this case. Shortened it. I don't know how harsh to make the lighting on his face. Probably quite harsh, but we'll see. Is his top lip too bright too, maybe? Okay, his beard a bit more detailed. I love this sort of painting where you're just slowly kind of creeping the detail in. I'm gonna try some stronger shadows in the eye sockets and see how that looks. Maybe some stronger highlights on the cheekbones even too. Yeah, it looks a bit more evil and menacing now, doesn't it? I'm gonna grab some of that highlight off the guy's forehead and get on one of these. I'm gonna try and use the blur brush just a little to sort of hide some of the brush strokes if we can. Wow, I mean, you see how I just made that straight grey? Why does it make it grey? I don't know. And that just makes it straight up grey. Seems to be where you plant the brush first. Sometimes if you plant it on the background, it'll just make everything grey. Crazy. I mean, that's not a blend brush, is it? Since when does a blend brush do that? Or this? Is it because the dragging is I've got stretch turned all the way up. Let's turn stretch down. That will fix it, I'm sure. Yeah. It's still just a bit like a blur brush there. Turn stretch all the way off, maybe. And it makes, you see, it makes that really harsh line on the right hand side. So it's not blurring the right hand side, it's made that have more contrast right there in that visible line. I don't know. Looks a tiny little bit like Darwin. It's the same kind of beard, isn't it? It's like some kind of steampunk adventure movie. Except it's a little bit more futuristic than steampunk, I suppose. Retro futuristic. I'd love to get back to painting, as much as I love retro futurism, I would love to get back to painting some skeletons and ghouls and ghosts and stuff in dungeons and things. You know, at some point. Right. What are we going to have for the lighting pattern? I think just a simple lighting pattern. Yeah, something like that, maybe. Yeah, it really doesn't matter that much. I could do the donut. I could do the donut. But no, I don't think we should be cramming the donut into every illustration we can possibly fit it into. Yeah, maybe this is some kind of like computer intelligence, you know. Someone had to do it, didn't they? I should add no fill bucket to the rules. You should be able to just disable the fill bucket in the, the drawing settings. That'd be awesome. Or maybe limit the amount of area that the fill bucket can fill in. With one click, you know. It just stops as like a square or a circle of yay size, yay big. No, that person deleted the Vitruvian Man. He's drawn a nice portrait there. Not sure what this is, but it's ongoing. And we got the dragon, which is now finished. So yeah, not as many canvas raiders so far today. Maybe they'll pick up, I don't know, might be surprised. I doubt it there, I think these things have their lifetime in the first couple hours, you know. I do wonder how dependent it is on time or just pot luck, maybe even, you know, that you get a few people joining, because I have between, you know, 26 and 0 people joining on these. It's really hard to predict. Although I think doing it in the afternoon is probably better than the morning. Who knows? I would assume so. I haven't tested it though. Yeah, we're kind of just getting this more and more perfect now. Thinking about a really dark shadow here in this seam. This is really going to change the dynamics of the colours a lot though. I think yesterday when we was painting that, you know, kind of space computer console, I think we did the filters a bit too early, and that's maybe why I ended up blown out in the end. But in this case, it's starting to feel like it is probably filter time, I don't know. Struggling to see how I can fit my darker values into here, because they, I don't know, doesn't look quite right, does it? It doesn't mesh. Maybe it's because it's not saturated enough. Something more like that. Yeah, I think that's more correct even. Still looks strange, you see. It's like the whole thing needs to move at once. Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. I hope we're not doing it too early, but we'll give it a go. I'll put the brightness up a little bit, put the contrast up a little bit. I also think maybe we just overdid it with the very last one that we did, the last filter yesterday. It's just a bit blown out. Whenever I talk about something, I tend to overdo it, which kind of makes sense, I guess. This one looks like it wants the contrast to be higher than the brightness, which is strange. But that does look better, doesn't it? a little bit. Maybe that looks more appropriate. Yeah, I think when it's already dark and dingy, when you start adding the darker values, it doesn't look right. Maybe that's it. I think the contrast should be up slightly, a little bit higher. Somewhere like there. What about that? Yeah, there you go. Should just look like a light switch, pretty much. Now we'll try and add some of the saturation back that we might have lost. Don't want to go crazy with it though. Yeah, there you go. Gone from that to that. Lovely. Now when we try to add our darker values, hopefully shouldn't look so out of place, especially if we, you know, really follow the details with it. Maybe some in the catch bucket. We could do the speaker grill holes a little darker, I suppose. Probably get away with it. Of course, we need a little where this sort of connects. The rest of it maybe. Something like that. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I wish we found some way to stretch this green piping around there, around this backside area as well. I guess we're kind of trying to get a little less activity over in that area. This is kind of getting out of control, this big bulge shape here. You see how this side doesn't fit? It's like not symmetrical. I think it's because, like I said, this one's just bulging out like further and further. We need to get it under control. We need to do something like that, I think. Make it more symmetrical with the rest. There you go. Something of a perspective error, I think. Yep, and it's down to just me now on this art jam. I think that's probably it, you know. Interesting. We'll have to log the time, like how well they do at different times, you know. I just think generally in the morning you're probably going to get less people. The inside of these a little bit darker. I did have darker ones in mind, I think. I want the reflections to come more down here as well. It's going to be slightly different when they do. It's going to be a bit blurrier. They're going to have more of a kind of a halo effect on them. This one looks a bit different still. A bit wider maybe this one is, isn't it? But we have a liquefy tool now, so why not give it a go? Something like that. Yeah, I think that's a good edit. Probably do a little bit of that too, to be honest. Something like that. I think is more accurate than what we had. What we had wasn't too bad, but I think that is more accurate, yeah. I don't think it should be so far forwards. I think this pipe should be a bit more that way, but I'll have to just paint that because not going to be able to get that much detail out of the blur one. Yeah, something like that anyway. Can also put little inside the halos, you know. Fit little lights and stuff. Can add a reflection of that kind of seal on there. Maybe blur that out too, just a little bit. Too much. Maybe I can get the blur brush and kind of mend that. Notice that my rubber has turned into a brush. Oh, there you go. I like this kind of doing the halo and then doing a sharp little dot in the middle of the halo just to represent the light itself. Makes the reflections look so convincing. We can kind of mirror that a little bit on the larger dome even. Something like that. I don't know if those ones really belong when they're like right behind the I feel like that would be blocking the light, but you get what I mean. This is like talk to Darwin, have a telecall with a holographic Darwin or something. You know what? I think I'm gonna leave that there. That was a really fun bit of concept art, bit of concept design. Yeah, I think that's what these art jams are really good for, is just doing these little props and characters. So we'll finish this one off probably in different time. I'll export it to some kind of project. I don't know where it belongs. This is kind of a fresh universe, you know. Maybe we can really develop what this sort of universe looks like. Which I think is going to become a big part of this of the Laugh Arts project. Is a lot of these sub-projects of just collections of concept art for different universes. So yeah,